al-Jafari renews Syria's commitment to its agreement with the OPCW, calling for putting pressure on terrorists to guarantee the non-targeting of convoys carrying toxic chemicals. Moscow calls on Syrian opposition to distance itself from armed terrorist groups who use it as an umbrella to achieve their plans in destroying Syria. And the Syrian Arab Army continues its national duty in pursuing the armed terrorist groups, having successful military operations against terrorist hideouts. Thousands of Bahrainis take to the streets demanding for political and social reforms and for halting oppression of al-Khalifas. Good afternoon, this is news in English from the Syrian Arab Television in Damascus, and we start from New York, where Syria's permanent representative at the United Nations, Dr. Bashar Jafari, affirmed that France is not neutral towards the situation in Syria, as the French understanding of the region's policy is built throughout history on the sectarian and fragmentation logic. A closer look in the following.
In a press conference, al-Jafari said that the French policy is part of the crisis in Syria and not part of the solution, referring that when France supports groups which are terrorists and not national opposition at all, then it is involved in terrorism in Syria and shoulders its responsibilities before the UN anti-terrorism committees. Al-Jafari added that those who have an influence on the armed terrorist groups in Syria should guarantee non-targeting the convoys transporting chemicals to Lattakia port. He added that the report of the OPCW Director General said that a large amount of chemicals have been moved out of Syria, where 11 shipments were transferred to Lattakia port, and that about half of the materials that will be destroyed outside Syria removed from the Syrian territories.
A significant quantity of chemicals has been removed from the territory of the Syrian Arab Republic. A significant quantity. So the executive director acknowledges that an important part of the chemicals has been removed from the territory of the Syrian Arab Republic. Then he says that a total of 11 shipments of priority chemicals has made its route to the port of embarkation at Lattakia. Then he says that 35% of declared priority 1 chemicals and more than 80% of declared priority 2 chemicals, making a combined total of 49.3% of priority 1 and priority 2 chemicals planned for destruction outside the Syrian Arab Republic, have now been removed from Syrian territory.
He added that transferring process is going well, and the Syrian government has expressed its commitment to the deadlines. Al-Jafari regretted that some of the 15 Security Council members had blocked a Russian proposal to issue a statement expressing the serious warning by the Council of the consequences of these terrorist attacks on the port of Lattakia against the shipments of the chemical materials.
Russian Foreign Ministry called upon the Syrian opposition, including the so-called coalition, to distance itself from extremists and bandits who are committing terrorist crimes against the Syrian people. In a statement posted on the ministry's website, the ministry said that the politicians must not allow the terrorists and those who support them to use them as an umbrella to achieve their plans in destroying Syria and turning it into a foothold for them. The statement added that the situation in Syria is extremely tense, as the innocent civilians die every day due to the terrorist acts perpetrated by the illegal armed groups like Jabhat al-Nusra, the Islamic State in Iraq and the Sham, and the Islamic Front linked to al-Qaeda. Going to our field developments, a military source said that an Syrian army unit thwarted an armed terrorist group's infiltration attempt into a military checkpoint surrounding Qassab city in northern countryside in Lattakia. The source added that the army unit eliminated a number of the terrorist group's members and seized their weapons, including rifles, machine guns, and rocket launchers. Units of the Syrian Arab Army continue their national duty in pursuing the armed terrorist groups, having successful military operations against terrorist hideouts and destroying their criminal equipment.
Army units launched wide military operation against terrorists in Aleppo city, inflicting heavy losses upon them in several villages, towns, and neighborhoods in the city. A military source said that army units destroyed an ammunition cache in Hanano neighborhood and a number of terrorist cars on the youth residence to the north of Aleppo Central Prison and in the villages and towns of Handarat, Anjara, Mara, and Al-Mansura, Kafarnaha, Hmeymed, Der Hafir, in addition to the villages of Sheikh Saad, Baidin, and Al-Rashidin. The source added that army units confronted an attempt of an armed terrorist group from a Sheikh Khadr Park into Sulaiman al-Halabi neighborhood, killing many terrorists and injuring others, while another army unit destroyed a vehicle equipped with a heavy machine gun in the bushes of Khan al-Assal, killing many terrorists. The source added that army units targeted terrorist dens in the towns and villages of Rasm al-Aboud, Babis, Dar Azzi, and the neighborhoods of As-Sakhur, Hanano, and Al-Jbaili, killing many terrorists and destroying their weapons. In Der Zor, an army unit destroyed a 30-meter-long tunnel to the north of Al-Ba'ajin school. The tunnel was used by the armed terrorist groups in conveying weapons and ammunition. Another unit killed and wounded several terrorists in Mrayayi village in the countryside of the governorate. In Al-Qnaitra, an army unit foiled an attempt of an armed terrorist group to attack some military position in Jabata village, killing and wounding several terrorists. A military source said that army units destroyed 2 cars with all terrorists and weapons inside in Al-Mtalli and Musa village in Daraa countryside.
Igor Kalashnikov, the expert in Russian military affairs, and Rajab Safarov, the Director General of the Iranian Contemporary Studies Center, affirmed that Turkey behaves in a provocative way against Syria, stressing that such behavior will only result in more problems. Head of the Republican People's Party, Kemaldin Oglu, stressed that the policy of Erdogan's party has misrepresented the status of Turkey at the international level. Concerning the local elections in Ankara, he called the Turkish judiciary to put an end to the arguments through re-electing in Ankara in order to avoid fraud processes there, adding that elections in the capital are going in an uncertain way, which could impact democracy and the rule of law, while by not announcing the results during this period may raise the fears. Thousands of Bahrainis demonstrated near the capital, Al-Manama, demanding political and social reforms, in addition to stopping the repressive measures by al-Khalifas. These coincided with the presence of the international media during the Formula One races, while the demonstrators aimed at delivering their message to the whole world. Moreover, sources said that thousands of people demonstrated in Al-Badi street near the capital in response to the Bahraini opposition goals, as demonstrators held Bahraini flags and photos of detainees arrested for demonstrating against the regime of al-Khalifa. With this, we come to the end of our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region, and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, www.syriaonline.sy. Now to the latest in business and market news with Nariman Qassan, but after a short break.